Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to officially start a new build on this channel. This is my first ever car. It is a Mark V 2.5 liter Volkswagen Jetta. Would you believe it if I told you this thing was an automatic with the original transmission and the original engine, and it has 232,000 miles, which is freaking crazy because it's a Volkswagen. That's why it's crazy. To get to the point, obviously you guys have been following along with my GLI build over the last 2 years that I've been posting YouTube videos, and I know I posted a little bit about this Miata, which we'll get to this soon, okay? But I'm making a video on it, so be patient. You guys have not actually seen the Mark V Jetta in any videos other than maybe a quick snippet of it in a couple. And that is for good reason, because honestly, I just don't know what to film about it. I've been building the Mark 7 GLI, man. But it's honestly time that this car gets some love, and we are going to be building this into a show car. I've always wanted a slammed car. I've always wanted it to be this 2.5 liter Jetta. Maybe we'll boost it in the future, but we'll have to see when we get there. But these are my old wheels off the GLI, the Rotiform Tough R's, which if you guys were wondering where they went on this car. But we are going to be lowering this thing, putting it on some new wheels, doing quite a few other cosmetic things and interior mods, and really just trying to make it a nice, comfortable, semi-comfortable, just a good overall show car. And maybe we'll make it kind of fast depending on how things go, I guess. But before we can do any of that, we really need to do a bunch of maintenance on this car because it has been pretty neglected over the last while, I would say. And that is actually what we're going to be doing today, because we have a huge pile of parts that need to be replaced on this car. And let's take a look at it. We've got new coil packs, a new set of spark plugs, we have a new map sensor, we have a new oil filter, a new cabin air filter, a new coolant tank reservoir, and a bunch of Liqui-Moly to fill this thing, because she's a hungry oil burning gal is what she is. But I figured while we were doing this, let's also just kind of take a look around the car. So these are the tinted taillights that I did when I was like 17 years old. Don't roast me. I'm gonna take them off later, but hopefully we're gonna get some clears because, you know, just follow the vision, okay? Clear taillights. New surprise wheels that I'm not gonna be showing you guys yet. Chrome mirror caps. A new factory chrome grille. Ignore all this, okay? I don't really like this grille and stuff. Don't question my decisions from a young age, okay? We're gonna make this very clean, not the way it looks right now. And it's all gonna come together. Just, you know, bear with me here. See the vision, okay? We're gonna clean up the headlights, get all chrome everywhere, silver wheels dumped, clear taillights. See the vision, right? You see the vision? The car is also going to get retinted soon, so we're gonna have fresh new tint because this stuff's like 20 years old. But honestly, dude, the interior is great. Look at this, with the exception of the sagging headliner, because that's just a VW thing, but everything else is like really, really good. And 230,000 miles. Oh yeah, and that. This is an SE trim, so it's all leather, and it's honestly like a way better build quality than my freaking GLI, which is kind of crazy because obviously this is a 2009 car, but you know, in 2009 they actually cared, and this was made in Germany. So anyways, like I said, we're starting the build, but the first thing we need to do is a bunch of maintenance, so sit back and enjoy.
So in the background, what you're going to see here is basically us just going through the car, taking off the engine cover, taking off the intake tube, and basically getting down to the throttle body to be able to remove it, clean it, and replace the map sensor that sits underneath of that and directly below the intake manifold. Now, the reason we are doing this is because the car has a pretty rough idle, and it also does not drive very smooth. Unfortunately, I went on OBD11, was able to scan the codes, and inside of the engine control module, we found that the manifold absolute pressure sensor was throwing a P0106 code. In addition to that, the throttle valve control unit was also throwing a P3078 code, and that basically means that the map sensor is faulty and the throttle body is dirty. And so because of that, we are going to be replacing the map sensor with an OEM Bosch one, and basically cleaning the throttle body. So as you see right now, we are removing the throttle body, and there are these 4 T30 screws that we have to take out. They're pretty long, but honestly, it's not that hard. This is the throttle body sensor that we have to also pop out. I plugged it into the top there, was able to remove it. Pretty straightforward. We used a T25 to remove the map sensor, which sits directly beneath that. There's one screw on it, but unfortunately I did forget to start recording, so that is my fault. But it's very simple. It's underneath the intake manifold, and you should be able to do it no problem. So here we're just using some carb cleaner, basically wiping this off with some no lint free rags, and yeah, just trying to get all this nasty carbon off of it. And as you can see, that's pretty dark, so we don't want that. We want it to be smooth and clean and just better than what it is now, because hopefully that'll fix our idle issues, but we will have to see. Basically put this back onto the car now and do everything that we just did in reverse. So first off, going ahead and putting in those screws, and make sure that when you guys are putting in these screws that you guys are actually putting them in, you know, kind of crisscross. Don't tighten them down all the way. Kind of treat it like a wheel, I guess, if you want. I mean, if you don't do it, it's fine, but that's just what I would suggest. Anyhow, now we're getting into the coil packs, which is the fun part. So here we are going to disconnect these connectors, and there is this little rail that sits in the valve cover, I guess you would say, and it will be a pain to pull out these coil packs if you do not pop out that rail that these connectors, harness, whatever sits inside of. So just make sure you pop those out, and you can stick your pickup in the top of the coil pack connector to be able to remove it like so. Now that we have the coil pack connectors out of the way, we can go ahead and just kind of pop each one out. I did use a flathead on cylinder 3, 4, and 5 just to make it a little bit easier because they were pretty wedged in there. I think these are actually the original coil packs. I don't believe they've ever been replaced, and if they have, it has been over 100,000 miles, so definitely could be the reason for a lack of power, and also why they look so crusty and dusty. Pulling out the spark plugs, you can see here these are coated in oil, and that's probably from the map sensor just having gone bad and honestly not being able to really regulate anything properly in the car, because it's a car and they need map sensors. Well, at least these cars need map sensors. But we're throwing in some OEM Bosch spark plugs, and I totally forgot to gap these, so don't take my advice here, but like, basically I couldn't find my gapping tool, and honestly it was too late for me to go get one, but it's fine. I figured it would be fine, and it turns out it was not fine. So you guys will have to see in a second here what I mean by that, but yeah, it kind of sucked. Cylinder 5 done, and now we got some coil packs that we're gonna be throwing, also some OEM Bosch ones, and yeah, throw the box away. These things look spicy. They're insulated and not just crappy like the other ones, which I guess were probably OEM, but whatever. We're just gonna continue going through these, throwing in all these coil packs, and yeah, once we're done with that, we'll catch you guys in just a second.
Well, we are back. Now we're on OBD11 because I started the car, I went for a little drive, and all of a sudden there is a nasty misfire. Whew, it is 2 a.m. Here's the thing, I don't know what I'm doing. I used OBD11, hooked it up, I checked the readings on the map sensor, everything was in check, checked the throttle, everything was good, and we had a misfire on cylinder 1. So you know, being me, I go on Google. Let's go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT says cylinder 1 is the one closest to, you know, the driver's side. Cool. Mess with the plugs, replace the coil packs, nothing's working. And then I realized, wow, I'm looking at the wrong cylinder. The one I was supposed to be looking at was the one closest to the passenger side on the timing belt side, or timing chain side, whatever. And here's the culprit. This was a spark plug that fell out of the packaging in my box. When I ordered a big box from FCP Euro, and basically just, you know, some of the spark plugs that fell out. And I guess that one basically got kind of bent up. It's my fault for not checking the gap, honestly. Basically, swapped the spark plug back for the old one in cylinder 1, and it got rid of our issue, and the car honestly drives really freaking good now. I took it for a quick rip to the gas station, and honestly, it's driving a lot better. Everything's super smooth, and so that's awesome. Because I went for a drive, the coolant and everything is all hot, and we're not gonna be able to replace the coolant reservoir tonight.
Thankfully, it was the weekend and we had the next day to be able to do this. So the first thing we have to do is remove the windshield washer fluid reservoir thingamadoohickey, and that's one 10mm bolt. Unplug the sensor, remove this plastic hose, take our T20 bolt and remove the coolant reservoir tank. Grab your hose clamp pliers, pop off that top hose right there, and move it back. Now, I did replace this a couple weeks ago, but I used an AutoZone one because it was leaking pretty bad, and honestly, I just needed to be able to have the car running, and so now we are finally fixing it because it had a non-stop coolant low light, and that's just not ideal. I had to remove that lower hose. I stuck some rags in there just to help the leaking coolant not get everywhere because that's always fun and annoying. Took my flathead, pushed this hose out a little bit, and spill a little bit of coolant because you have to do that if you're going to be replacing one of these. You're not going to do it without doing that, and if you do, then you're much better than I am at being a mechanic. So props to you. Now we're popping this back in, this hose on that little nipple down there. Take our hose clamp pliers, connect it back up to the top so that way it's nice and snug and not gonna fall off while we're driving, because that probably wouldn't be ideal, I'd imagine. If it does happen, then I'll go cry about it in my GLI, because, you know, that's how it goes. Once we got that done, pop this black hose back into the little clips there, put back in our T20 screw, and we should be able to have it be held in place once again. Now we're going to take our hose clamp pliers, pull back on the top hose, and connect it nice and snug. Full send, pour back in our old coolant, and now we got to reconnect our windshield washer reservoir, throw the cap on, and throw the sensor on.
Well, it has been a few days now since we did everything to this car, and honestly, I didn't have time to really film an outro because I had stuff going on, but I will say the car is much, much better now. I also did an oil change, but I did not record that just because it just wasn't good footage, I'll be honest. The Mark V 07K project can officially begin. Now, I forgot to mention this earlier, but like I said, this is an automatic. Obviously, we don't want no damn automatic. So, 6-speed swap? I don't know, I guess you'll have to find out. Anyways, I will catch you guys in the coming up video of actually kind of doing a similar video, but going over this Miata build because I haven't shown it on the channel much, and honestly, I just want to be able to share the progress over the last year and a half of building this car with you guys, and I think you guys would like to see it, so I'm gonna post it. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine. Check out my videos on this car, or stay tuned for the videos on this car. Either way, I will catch you guys later, and I hope you have a great day. Adios.